brings up a conversation because you talk about strength of schedule, and I think Ohio State really did get the boost by Notre Dame being back in there at number 20. But like, Michigan's still in the top three. They played absolutely nobody. Colorado State, you had Hawaii, you had UConn, who's much better than expected, but it's not really moving the
You're
needle
talking out
for
of
people
conference,
nationally.
correct?
Yes, out of conference. And then you got Ohio State in the non-con again. You had the Notre Dame win, but you got Arkansas State and Toledo in there, like a couple of sleeper games that you basically get to walk through. And to me, like the Notre Dame game maybe was a deciding factor in the 2 versus 3 conversation. Did Ohio State minimal favors at this point? Like, it's not really a resume booster. And Michigan, the teams that they played certainly aren't going to boost resumes. You get the wins, and I think winning's the most important thing right now for a lot of people. Like strength of schedule, I don't think is a deciding factor for many folks in that room specifically. And then I look at a team like Oregon, who schedules Georgia in a neutral site game that was basically a home game for Georgia, first game of the year. And had they not done that, Kirk Herbstreit said it the best. You schedule Portland State, and all of a sudden we're having a conversation about Oregon sitting there at number 4, maybe at number 3. Like, we don't know what happens there. Maybe at number 2, honestly. The way that they've played since that Georgia game has been as good as anybody.
Here's the other thing. People got to start throwing Bo Nix's name in this Heisman conversation because that son of a bitch has been playing football. Since that game, he's been playing some good football.
Statistically, the second best quarterback in terms of touchdown production outside of CJ Stroud since that first game. Like, yeah, I'm totally there with you. He needs to get more hype.
And that Georgia game was a straight setup. I mean, it's a neutral site game in Atlanta.
Yeah.
I mean, you're in the heart of Georgia country. Like, come on,
brand new head coach who's
Dan Lanning
who's going
coming
against,
from Georgia.
Yes, his guy. Like, it was that whole thing to me. I think the games matter. I don't want to devalue games, but like, as I start to look in the rear view, that was a long time ago. Like, the situation was definitely not optimal for that Oregon team. But it basically goes to say, man, that you do yourself minimal favors trying to go out there and have a nice schedule, in my opinion, in this current setup.
And I think
that's all I wanted to say.
The other thing too, for the first time, I think there's a legitimate argument to not put 2 SEC teams in the college football playoff this year.
I'm with you 100%.
Which is going to make for a very interesting finish here, because if you have a TCU team who slips up, because they still have a couple more challenges. I think they're
at Texas this week.
Which is a very, very scary team. Very, very scary team. I think they're starting to turn the corner. I love this Quinn Ewers kid. I've been high on him all year. Shown some growing pains, but I think it's there. I think that's going to be Oregon could really slip in here if they keep handling business, because they're going to have some high profile games against the Lincoln Riley and USC team in the college in their conference championship game. So they've still got some shots. They've still got some shots here to make a case and even slip in there and possibly get that rematch with Georgia. So.
No, I'm totally there with you. Like, this is going to be interesting down the line. I think the one where we start having the conversation about the resumes of Ohio State and Michigan is if there would be an opportunity for a 1-loss Big Ten team to get in. If Notre Dame keeps playing the way that they can, I think Notre Dame can get the win against USC at the end of the year too. If they rush for 220 or more yards in that game, it's a victory. You can mark it down right now. Then that bolsters Ohio State's resume. Michigan's not going to have that. I think the only time we start talking about their out of conference schedule is when we get into this conversation about, can 2 Big Ten teams get in? Now, Michigan is going to have the added benefit of having Illinois on their schedule. And I think that Illinois still, as a 4-loss team, could be ranked at the very bottom of that top 25, or a 3-loss team, whatever the case. There would be a 3-loss team at that point. They have a Big Ten championship potentially in there too that they would be in. All that to say, Michigan would have that data point. Like, there are some interesting things there, but I think that's the only time we start talking about this. Otherwise, those 2 teams having not really had a test out of conference, you feel like they're still in a good spot.